John Riojas works for the Texas Workforce Commission. He is an unemployment insurance field specialist. And he's going to be talking to you about Texas unemployment insurance benefits, the rules and regulations of the program. Rules and regulations, policies and procedures. How many of you have never been on unemployment compensation? Okay, so lots of you have experience in this weird world of unemployment compensation. And so the little tiny blurb, we always ask our speakers for a blurb and a bio. And the blurb says, think you know all you need to know about your unemployment benefits? What is considered acceptable for your weekly reporting? Are there activities you're participating in you don't even realize are acceptable? John Riojas will share the ABCs of the Texas unemployment insurance benefits, answer your questions, so come prepared. And his bio is, he has worked for Texas Workforce Commission since 2000. I'm sure there's more to the man. Shannon believes he's part of the CIA. But let's give a warm welcome to John Riojas.
Put that there. How is everybody? It's a pleasure to be out here with you guys. My name is John Riojas. I work for the Texas Workforce Commission, and we're just here to talk a little bit about unemployment insurance. You know, some of you, just by listening to what's been going on here, it appears that maybe some of you have been in the process maybe. Some of you maybe haven't even started the process. Some of you may have already finished with unemployment. But here's what it is. Unemployment insurance has really nothing to do with medical insurance, right? I get that question a lot, when I go to these sessions. But what it is it's also not a handout, all right? It's not the government feeling sorry for you, so we're going to give you a little bit of money in order to, appease you because you lost your job. So it's not that either. What it is it's called unemployment insurance, right? And it's called unemployment insurance because it's like an insurance policy that the companies that you work for buy through the state in the event that they have to lay you off. That's basically what it is, and that's why they call it unemployment insurance benefits. You actually, personally, do not put a penny into unemployment, right? That money comes from a tax that's levied on your employers, so all your employers. So many of you may have one employer, many of you may have multiple employers, and so all those employers are the ones that pay into the unemployment, okay? And so there are a lot of rules. Because it is a state program, there are so many rules and regulations to it. And my job for the last 19 years has been to go out to, when companies are gonna lay off a significant number of people, for me to go out and try to explain to people what unemployment insurance is. And then to be sort of as a resource for them, and in the event that they have problems later on. All right, and so that is why I brought some material. I've got my card up here. It looks like I may not have enough, but there are some cards here. They've got all my contact information. It's got my email address. It's got my cell number. A lot of my counterparts think I'm crazy for that, but I figure that's good job security to begin with, right? And also, I'm a field rep, which means that I am on the road a lot. And so I don't sit in an office waiting for people to call me. And so because of that, you may call the office and leave a message, and I may not get back to you for a couple of days. So the cell number is really the most convenient way for us to make contact. And I can work anywhere I'm at. So in today's world, with all the technology that we have at our disposal, it's easy for me to be in the car and be able to call somebody And as long as I have maybe a social security number to work with, you know, if you have a question about your personal account, I can call Austin and have and talk to someone and get an idea of what the heck's going on. If I'm in the office, even better, right? I'm on my computer, I can look up your account and see what the problem is. Now look, here's what I can offer, right? To begin with, you know, if you're having problems with your unemployment insurance, first of all, I'm good at explaining to you what it is and what you have to do. Okay, and I have a bit of a presentation, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and start the presentation. Maybe we won't finish with it, okay? Because if you have a question, I want you to ask it. I mean, I don't know how much time we've got left here, but you know, if you've got a question, I'm here to answer it for you, you know. And if I don't know the answer, I'm not going to make up an answer for you. I'll get the answer for you. Okay, I know somebody that will have the answer. I'm pretty much a straight shooter. I don't try to pretty up things for anybody. You know, I tell you what you need to know, okay? That's important to me because the only way that I can really help you is if you understand what it is that is expected of you if you're in this program. That's the best way I can help you. If you know that, I think you're gonna follow through. And everybody wants to go through this process as you know, uneventful as possible. Just make sure that every 2 weeks I get my money, and that's really what I'm looking for, okay? So unemployment insurance, like I said, 2 ways to file, and I brought some handouts. And the first handout that I've gotten, that I brought, is probably stuff you've already seen. It's I don't think there's going to be enough for everyone, but at a glance is kind of a trifold that we have, and it explains how you can file for unemployment. Only 2 ways to file on the phone. Our number is 1-800-939-6631. It's on the pamphlet there. And the other is online. And of course, filing online is ideal, right? 24/7, you can file 24/7. And if you do it on the phone though, and a lot of people don't like computers nowadays, I run into a lot of people nowadays that don't like to go on a computer, right? They want to talk to somebody. And because of that, you know, our phone lines are constantly busy. So if you are unemployed and you call our office to try to start a claim, you may run into problems, right? You may get too many phone calls, please call back later. And that can be a source of frustration for anybody, right? You're unemployed and you're trying to get some help, and the phones are busy all the time. So online would be the ideal way. If you don't have a computer, I mean, you don't have to use your personal computer. You can go to one of our offices. And by the way, there are 2 agencies that you'll be dealing with if you become unemployed. One is the Texas Workforce Commission, which is the agency that I work for. We're the state of Texas, right? And all we handle is your unemployment. That's all we do, okay? The other agency is the Texas Workforce Solutions. And they are the ones that have offices that are open to the public. Okay? And their main objective here is to help you get to that next job. All right? They'll do whatever they need to do to get that, which includes maybe creating a resume for you, teaching you how to interview, you know, stress management, financial management, any of that stuff. They are there for you in that capacity. Many of the things that you're probably learning here as well. The one thing that I think differentiates them from all other agencies is that they can actually send you to school. All right, they can possibly send you to school, and that really depends on you know, every area. Every area has their own jobs that they are in need of, people that they need in certain jobs, right? And if your job that you're looking for happens to be in demand in that particular area, then they may be willing to pay for you to get a certification, finish up schooling. There are rules, and like they can only do a maximum of 2 years. They can pay for a maximum of 2 years. And of course, they are going to screen you to make sure that you are the type of person that, and what I mean by that is, look, if you are looking to go to school, you're competing with everybody in this city, right? And if you have no way to support yourself if we put you in school, they're obviously not going to invest in you, right? Because if you're going to have to quit school that we're paying for, in order to go back and support your family, then you may not be the ideal candidate. And so there is a screening process that they have that will see if you are an ideal candidate. If you are there and the money's available, then they may be willing to pay for you to go. And who wouldn't want to be able to get a certification or to finish up a certain degree of any sort if they didn't have to pay for it, right? I mean, I know I'm still paying for school loans, believe it or not, at my age. But that is what the Workforce Solutions is all about. They have computers, fax machines, anything that you may need, and you can go in there and use all of that free of charge. Those are your tax dollars at work, okay? So those are the two agencies that we're going to. And a lot of people, they'll go to the Texas Workforce Solutions, right, thinking that that's that they can handle their unemployment problems there, and they can't because they have nothing to do with unemployment. Their main objective is to try to get you to that next job, right? Now, a lot of people have misconception about what unemployment is designed to do. What unemployment is designed to do is just get you from this job to that next job, all right? It's going to buy you some time. You know, if you lose your job and you have kids, or you have a house payment, or you have a mortgage, or you have a car payment, or whatever, then you need to find employment quickly, right? And what unemployment allows you to do, it buys you, like I said, a little time. We're talking up to a maximum of 6 months to go out and see what the best possible situation is for yourself, so that you don't have to take that first job offer or the second job offer. You can actually go out and see what the best possible situation is for yourself, and then take that job. It may be the 10th or 11th job that you apply for, but it buys you some time, and that's all it's designed to do. People are always asking, John, what percentage of my wages am I going to get? And look, any number I give you, or any number that we would give you, would be a percentage, right? But it's not a uniform percentage, all right? It's not like you're going to get 30% or whatever. Here's what you need to know about that. The maximum that you can receive under unemployment is $507 a week. $507 a week is the maximum, all right? The minimum is $65 a week. So you're going to fall somewhere in between those two numbers. And in order to max out at 507, you would have had to make $45,000 or more, approximately $45,000 more, all right, during the time period that we're going to look at. Okay? That time period, the rule says, is we go back into your work history. Okay? We take the quarter that you're applying in. So let's say you're applying today. Today we're in what? The second quarter of 2019? We wouldn't use this quarter, right? Because it's not completed. We would go back 5 quarters from this quarter. That would include what? The first quarter of this year and the 4 quarters in 2018. Then the rule says you take the first 4 quarters, which means we're looking at all of 2018. And we will look at all the earnings that you had during 2018 to calculate that benefit. If you made $45,000 or more, you're going to max out at 507. The maximum length of unemployment is 26 weeks, which means if you multiply 26 by 507, you're going to go somewhere about a little over $13,000. Nobody's going to get rich on unemployment, but unemployment will put a little food on the table, a little gas in the car, maybe pay a bill or two, but that's about it. And it's a very temporary situation. I was on unemployment one time in my life, and I tell you what, no matter how much savings you have, no matter what you have thought you planned for, when you're not working, that goes very quickly. And 6 months sounds like a long time, but it isn't. It's a blink. You know, it's kind of like since I started working here, it just seems like yesterday I started working here, you know. And it's been almost 19 years already. All right? Yes?
Is my understanding correct that once you have completed the period of unemployment,
Your 26 weeks?
eligibility,
Mhm.
that even if you're not employed, you still can't get more unemployment insurance?
Okay, so did everybody hear that question? Is all you get 26 weeks and then that's it? Here's what you need to know. The claim lasts 1 year from the date that you open it, all right? But they only put 6 months worth of money into the claim. So most people are going to run out of money before they run out of time, right? And what that means is that you can't file a new claim until after the 1-year anniversary is up. Okay? That's what that means. Now, you also can't file a claim against the same company two times in a row. I mean, you know what I'm saying? It's like back to back. So in order for you to be able to file a new claim if you haven't found a job after a year, you would have had to work somewhere else, you know? Even if it's part-time or temporary or whatever, but you have to have earnings in with another company in order for you to be able to make another claim. You may or may not qualify at that time. It depends on how much earnings you have during that time. And you're always going to have some earnings, right? Because we go back 5 quarters, we take the first 4 quarters, right? So there's a quarter, maybe a quarter and a half there that you have earnings that you're not using. We're not using to give you that first benefit. So it's always a possibility that you may qualify. Yes, ma'am.
I have 2 questions.
All right.
I have 2 questions about things that appear to have changed.
Okay.
One was, when I worked for the organization, they didn't count earnings for the quarter you were in or for the preceding quarter. They counted the 12 months before that. So that, is it something that has changed, where they now take?
No, it's still the same. It's still the same. It's like I said, if you file today, you're in the second quarter of 20, we don't use this quarter, it's not
Right,
completed.
but in the olden days, they also didn't count the preceding quarter, which would have been the first quarter of this year.
Well, we don't either. I told you we'd be looking at all of 2018 instead of any time this year.
Okay, so they
We
don't.
go back
Yeah,
5
so-
quarters and take the first 4.
Oh,
the first 4 being.
The first 4 is
First-
what, yeah,
yeah.
so you go back 5, yeah,
Yeah.
okay.
The only-
Alright,
the only-
So that's the same, we
okay.
just said it in different ways.
Okay,
And then
sorry.
the other change is in olden days, if you could draw severance and unemployment at the same time, but you couldn't do wages in lieu of notice and unemployment, because that was wages, but you could, it used to be you could have severance and, because that was money that supposedly you earned before, and you could draw unemployment, and now I think they make you run out of your severance first.
Yeah, well, yes, yeah. 10 years ago, let me take you back 10 years. 10 years ago, if a company had laid you off, it didn't matter what they gave you on the way out. It was, the state actually considered it a gift from the company to you, even though I'm sure that's not how you felt. About 5 years ago, that changed. All right, 5 years ago, that changed. And the rule then became the only way you can collect unemployment and receive a severance would be if you had to sign a release of claim, which about 99% of the people that get a severance have to sign a release of claim. If you don't sign a release of claim, you don't get the money, you know? And what a release of claim is just a document that says, I won't sue the company because they laid me off. That's basically what the trade-off is. They're giving you this amount of money so that you don't sue them, right? So that changed about 5 years ago. About a year and a half ago, that changed. Almost 2 years this summer, it'll be, when that changed. And now, there are very few exceptions as to whether you can get severance and unemployment at the same time. Okay? So now, it's not, even if you signed a release of claim, we'll probably hold you ineligible for unemployment until that runs out. Okay? Which really creates a pickle for people that are like, for example, get more than 6 months of severance. And if they don't know that when they start a claim and we deny them, let's say, because I've had individuals that get a year of severance, and they file a claim, and basically, when they file the claim, now we're going to have to tell them you don't qualify, and that goes for a whole year because we've now rendered a decision on that claim. And now, a year later, when they try to file, they're not going to have as much money in the system as they would have if they hadn't filed to begin with. But who knows all that stuff, right? Who knows that? I mean, that's not something that they broadcast over. There are exceptions, and here are the exceptions. If you're part of a union, all right? So if your company was unionized and they were your collective bargaining agent, okay, that's one exception. If you negotiated this exit, this severance package, before you began work there, who does that? Anybody here? if this is if you filed a lawsuit against the company and this is part of a settlement, those are the exceptions. Those are the exceptions. Anything other than that, if you get X amount of dollars and that equates to 6 months or whatever, we're probably going to hold you ineligible for that. Question over here.
I had a 2-month severance, so didn't apply until December.
So you didn't apply? You waited?
Right.
Okay.
And then I've got quite a bit of money left because of the fact that I've been, doing consulting jobs and things like that.
And when you say money left, what are you talking about? Unemployment money?
Yeah.
Okay.
About 6 weeks left of benefits. So I would have run out based on the day that I left my previous company. This month would have been 6 months, and I thought that I heard that. And then when I called to double check it, they said, because it went over the course of the year, because I still had dollars worth of benefit in my account to keep applying towards it. Because that was the exact question that I had. Is my hard stop in April? And they said no, to continue to apply.
Man, I truly missed something there. Because did you file your claim immediately, or?
Yeah, but I had the 2 months severance.
So if you filed your claim immediately, they held you ineligible for 2 months. Then you got 10 months to use up
6 months.
6 months worth of unemployment. I don't seem to be that. I wouldn't be a problem at all.
Right. So the question really gets to, is the 26 weeks a calendar period, or is that what the amount of benefit typically is?
You have a year to.
Let me see if this answers it. When you file your claim and we run the numbers, we will give you an amount of money, and that equates to a number of weeks, right? Think about it as though we take that amount of money and put it into a bank account with your name on it, and you get to draw it. So even though you may be disqualified for 2 months because of your severance, doesn't mean that we took 2 months worth of money out. So you still get your whole amount of money. Did that answer the question?
I'm just confirming that I can,
Oh, absolutely,
over the course of the year, draw off as long as there's money there, as opposed to.
And you would be able to draw up until either you become employed, or your money runs out, or your year runs out. One of those things has to happen.
That's the difference between a year and the 26
Yeah.
months part. A corollary too is that it's very wonky to do things if you're self-employed or doing consulting. There's always are you continuing to work for this employer, or have you found work?
Yeah, if you become unemployed and then you take let's say a consulting job, even if it's for the same company, then you have to tell us how much you're earning, and that may disqualify you for that length of time, depending on how much you're making. You just have to report what you're making. What we actually do is, so if you're on unemployment, you can actually have a job and still collect part of your unemployment. What really becomes the problem, or what becomes an issue there, is what is your benefit? How much did you earn during that 1 week that you're asking me to pay you unemployment? We give you a 25% increase in your benefit, and then we take the amount of money that you earned and deduct it from that 125%. So let me give you an easier way to follow. We're giving you $300 in unemployment. You find a job that pays you $200, right? We give you a 25% increase, right? 25% of 300 is $75. So your benefit rises from 300 to 375. From that 375, we'll deduct the $200 that you earned, and we'll deduct it, and we'll pay you the difference, which is $175. So it's possible to have part-time employment and still get part of your unemployment. And what that does in the long run, it lengthens the number of weeks that you will be able to collect unemployment. Yes, ma'am.
So is it, when you have a severance package, is it better to file the day or the week after you leave, or is it better to wait until the severance runs out?
Everybody hear that? So I'm getting a severance. Is it better to file right away, or is it better to wait until my severance is done? Well, here's a couple things you have to contend with. If you file right away, and you're going to be disqualified for 6 months, now you're probably going to have our folks on you for, hey, why aren't you looking for work? Or you got to call in every couple of weeks. And if you don't want to have to deal with that, then better to wait, right? Now, the good thing about the things you have to consider would be how many weeks did I get on severance? and then understand the length of time that the claim lasts, right? So let's say I got 6 months of unemployment or of severance. I would probably start my claim right away, right? If I start my claim right away, the first 6 months, I will be disqualified. I will not be able to collect. The second 6 months, I will be able to collect, and then my 1 year will be up, and I may be able to file again. As opposed to me waiting 6 months, filing, getting 6 months worth of it. Now I have to wait 6 months before I can file again.
So what if your company does it, like pays you on their regular pay versus a final check? Like, so
It really, it doesn't matter. What matters is is how many weeks they are giving you of
Okay.
severance, not,
Got it.
anything else, so, yes.
The other thing is too, if you file right away, then you might get the maximum amount because you've been working steadily.
Right.
But if you wait 6 months and then file, the quarters have changed and you might not have as much earnings, and so then your weekly benefit amount may not be as high.
That is potentially possible, but with like 6 months or if you're talking about 6 months, that usually isn't going to be the case. Because remember, we're going back 5 quarters, taking the first 4, which means you have at least another quarter, maybe 2 quarters in that we're not going to be using. So you may still be okay, but it is potentially possible that it could be a little bit lower.
So you're saying then that the severance amount would be included in those quarters? That would be income in those quarters that you would include in your calculations?
More than likely not if you're getting that severance after you file. No, because remember, we're going back. Like if you file today, let's say you get your severance in a week, right? That money's not going to be included because we're going back to 2018. And that's all we're considering, 2018, to give you a benefit.
So would it be safer maybe to wait a quarter? And this doesn't apply to me, I don't have any severance.
Yeah.
But would it be?
You could do that, yeah. There's nothing says you have to file right away. Nothing, it just all depends on you, when you want to file. Yes, sir.
Can there be a break if you had to, let's say, travel for a couple of weeks for some unexpected reason? Is there something?
Are you talking about a break from when you lost your job and you start your unemployment?
No, if you're drawing unemployment, can you have a break? Can you take?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Here's the deal that you need to know. And so the question is, I'm on unemployment and I want to go on vacation, let's just say. I'm going to be out of the country for a couple of weeks, maybe a month, who knows? During that month, though, you still have to request payment in order to keep the claim alive, okay? If you don't, then what needs to happen when you come back is you got to call and file again to reopen the claim, okay? And once you reopen the claim, you'll be allowed to request payment. And then they'll just ask you, hey, why haven't you filed for the last 4 weeks? Been on vacation. Wasn't able to look for work, so I knew I wasn't going to get anything. That's what the deal is. Yes.
Related question, if you take a temporary job or a project somewhere, in the middle, but you're not really returning to work, it's only going to last a week or 2 weeks, you get paid and then you're out of work again. How does that affect your unemployment?
Well, the only thing that will happen if you accept temporary work during the time that you're on unemployment is that you need to tell us what you're earning, right? And that's it, basically. And by the way unemployment works is the first time that you file for unemployment, you will only get 1 week out of the 2 weeks that you're filing for, right? And the reason for that is that we have a Texas law that's called the waiting week law, right? And basically what that means is that we cannot pay you week 1, okay? So when you get your first payment from unemployment, it'll be week 2, right? So let's say so what'll happen in the case if you take a temporary job and you make that request for payment and you tell the computer, hey, I worked 40 hours and I earned $1,000 this week. That's going to tell the computer, hey, that guy's back to full-time employment. So send him his first payment, the one we held. And that's about the only thing that'll happen there. Because even though you may not consider being back to full-time employment, we do, because you've worked, actually the number is 30 hours or more. If you work 30 hours or more, we consider you back to full-time employment. And the only way to get that first waiting week will be, you have to be unemployed at least 3 weeks, right? And then either you return to full-time employment, which is defined as 30 hours or more, or you run out of unemployment money. You run out at 26 weeks later, you've collected a check or a payment every 2 weeks. Now you're out of unemployment money, the computer will recognize that and send you that first payment that they owe you.
Okay, so I'm interested in the cost to the employer. Situation is,
I'm interested in the cost to the employer, since they are paying in to insurance, unemployment insurance. So I was let go, I signed one of those beautiful pieces of paper under duress, filed for unemployment, was given unemployment. The decision was in my favor. The employer fought it. 9 months later and 3 decisions later, I continued, I won. But what is the cost to the employer? Do their taxes go up? Do their insurance rates go up? Why would they fight that?
Their tax rate will go up. Their tax rate will go up if the more unemployment, more of their employees use the unemployment, their tax rate will go up.
and is that based on a dollar amount of salary? Like if I'm a high-paid salary, if I'm let go, do their rates go up proportionately to the amount of money that's...
No. There are employers that pay the exact amount of the unemployment, but most employers don't. They pay a tax rate, a few, 2 or 3% or something like that. I don't know the exact amount, but it's minimal, yeah. And they're just purchasing this. No, the reason a company may want to not for you to get unemployment, who knows? Maybe that you left under bad situation. They want to send a message to everybody else. Who knows why employers do what they do?
Well, they misinterpret what unemployment means and the reasons for dismissal. Same thing happened to me.
Yeah.
The employer fought it. He let me go because basically wanted to hire a new sales team and couldn't afford both of us. He said he was not happy with my performance, but I said, well, I explained to the unemployment people the situation, and they said, okay, we ruled in your favor because you didn't do anything wrong. You just didn't meet the employer's expectations, and that's not a reason for denying the claim. Of course,
That's how the system works. A company here in Texas, a company can fire you for whatever reason they want. It doesn't matter what that reason is. Now, whether they can keep you from getting your unemployment, that's another story. All right? If they fire you, they have to prove to us that they fired you justifiably, just cause. They did it the right way. If they just fired you because you don't look like they want you to look, or your job performance isn't as good. Now, if you broke a rule, one of their rules that applies to everybody, you're sunk, more than likely. You're sunk. But other than that, there's always a possibility that you're going to win that.
So I had a friend recently she's working for a nonprofit, and she made the mistake of saying to her boss that in a few months she was going to be making a move to Colorado. Well, they let her go right then and there, and her unemployment claim was denied.
Well, the reason that if it was a nonprofit, more than likely, the reason that her unemployment claim was denied wasn't because of anything the employer said. It was because they don't pay into the system. They don't buy the unemployment. If you're a nonprofit, usually you don't do that.
Interesting.
So that's more than likely. So we had no wages to base a benefit on. That's basically why that probably happened. Yes?
Hi, I will be contacting you over something else.
Yeah.
Now, this is a general question. I called last week and I got someone who obviously was not up on it because she kept trying to tell me we're in the third quarter.
It's all right.
I called her last week. I wanted to find out if last week, because it began with the 31st on Sunday, counted as second quarter or first quarter.
The 31st would be still the first quarter. In fact, the quarter doesn't change until the first full week begins.
Okay.
So that first partial week, that was still first quarter as well.
I wouldn't even give her my social because I didn't trust her.
Yeah.
I called again this week and was denied. They have wrong wage information, did a wage investigation paper, so I'm in limbo. But I'll be contacting you.
Yeah, do that, and I'll be more than happy to take a look at your account. Yeah.
Because I work with you before, and you're working
Oh, thank you, appreciate it. Yes.
So I asked for the benefit of others that may be in a similar situation. I was helping to run a company, and the board decided that they wanted to lay everybody off. They had been late on the previous payroll, and they paid in arrears. They laid everybody off, including myself, and they didn't pay the final payroll or the previous payroll and no severance. I made a wage claim, and I recently received a letter saying it was denied, and said there was an arbitration. Can you do anything about this?
Well, payday, it's called a payday law, right? You made a payday law request? So basically what that is, you know, a company doesn't pay you. You do work for the company, they don't pay you. So you give them time to work it out. They don't work it out, they don't want to pay you. Then you file a claim and the state will try to get the money for you. Now, if they're in bankruptcy or stuff like that, they're not, I could look into that for you. Okay, just give me a buzz. Yeah. Yes.
I want to talk about missteps. Sometimes people will take a job and it will only last for 1 or 2 months, and then they're unemployed again. Can they file on their former employer, not the 2-month employer, but the one before?
What will happen in a situation like that is that you're gonna file, and it's gonna take you back to your old claim because that claim is less than a year old. So you're going to be going back to that same claim, which is your former employer anyway. So yeah, so that is what would happen if you're in a situation like that. Now I'll tell you something real quick. If you're on unemployment and you take a job, let's say I just need a little extra cash, I'm going to go and try to find a job, a part-time job, maybe at Home Depot. And 2 days into the job, you realize that you're working for a real jerk, you know. And hey, I'm old, I'm not going to take that. I quit. You quit, you have now lost your unemployment because the state is going to look at you as though you chose to be unemployed. You know, what happened before was something different. Now you took a job and now you voluntarily quit. You chose to be unemployed. So you got to be real careful about things like that too when you're on unemployment. There are a lot of things that you have to be just cognizant of. You know, just realize, read the booklet. That's, you know, they're always going to send you the unemployment benefit handbook. And the reason they send you this book is because if something goes down later on, if you claim that you didn't know that, they're going to refer to that book. They're going to say, you know what? If you'd have read the book, you would have known better. And that's why they send you the book, you know. So if you ever read the book and you have a question about it, look, you may be done with unemployment at this point, okay? However, if something went down while you were on unemployment and you just have a bad taste in your mouth because you never really got a good explanation, give me a call. Give me a call. I'll research your situation and I'll at least be able to give you an explanation. You know, it's not going to make things right, but at least you'll know why. And sometimes that's good enough, you know. Sometimes that's good enough. That way, you know, you chalk it up to experience, and the next time you're not going to do that. Yes.
So this is a little bit random, but when I was first on my claim because of all the severance and stuff, I had people calling me from the Texas Workforce Commission talking about my unemployment. But they'd leave me a number, you know, and I'd call, or they'd call me and I'd answer. And the phone number that they were calling from, I couldn't find anywhere online, you know, associated with unemployment. And they were asking for my social. And these are actually people, you know, it was a legitimate number, but I'm like, I need to find a legitimate number that I can find online to call you back at. So just something you guys might want to do to make sure that the number.
Yeah, well, first of all, understand that we will never call you. Leave a message on your phone and ask for your social security number.
No, this is just when they called me and talked to me on the phone.
Yeah. Well, look, here's the deal with that. Okay, so an investor, one of our we call it claims examiners.
Yeah.
You know, if we need more information on something is going on with your account, we're going to call and ask you. Now, if you don't pick up, and most people will not pick up because they don't recognize the number, and you know, it could be a bill collector, it could be somebody I don't want to talk to, so I'll let them leave a message. Then I'll call back. You know, I do that a lot myself, by the way. But here's the deal. Now you call back, and what are the chances that the individual that you want to talk to will have just hung up the phone the minute that you're calling. I mean, that's almost, it's just unbelievably, it's never going to happen. You're never going to talk to that guy or that lady, okay? Because they're on the phone the whole time that they're working, right? And so, yeah, what are the chances that as they hung up, you're going to be calling up? It's just crazy. So the best thing is leave a message.
But my point is that the phone number that they're giving you, you can't find online and connect it to.
Because we don't want you calling us back on that number. They usually give you a phone number for you to call.
But they need to have a verifiable number because when somebody's calling, I won't give my social security.
You guys in Austin are tough.
Yeah. No, because first it was San Antonio, then it was El Paso.
A lot of scams. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so they just need to make sure that they have a number that they can give that we can verify.
I tell you what, we have a monthly, or not, our quarterly staff meetings. I will bring that up.
Okay.
I'm sure somebody hasn't done that. Yes, sir.
When they're calculating the amount of your income in those quarters, suppose you've been contributing heavily into a 401k. Does the calculation include your full compensation, including what you contributed to 401k, or are they only looking at the amount after the 401k?
What we take is the amount that a company reports they paid you. And that usually includes overtime, well, everything that they get that they're paying you. Normally.
Okay, good. And just one thought here. I know we say that the employers pay for this, but it's kind of like a smoke and feathers accounting trick because all employers look at their total cost before they determine what they're going to pay you. And a result of any cost, whether it's putting a tree outside the window or paying insurance, employment benefits, will reduce what they calculate they're going to pay as wages.
And I'm sure you can make an argument for that, but we're just not buying it. No, I'm just telling you that it's not going to be included. I mean, it's the employer that pays. They're the ones that pay the tax, and that's who we pays it. Even though I'm sure you're absolutely correct. Any other? Yes, ma'am.
In terms of when you get a request to submit a log,
a work search log. So somebody asks you to prove to us that you worked, that you did some job searches in a particular week.
Fill it up online. You can either fill out the form or you can input it online. It actually asks for the person you talked to, their phone number, and what I had a big interview like that week, and I didn't want them to like call that person and do that. What are the other acceptable?
Look, the work search log, right? And I got a copy of it right here, right? The work search log. I do these all the time, and people look at them and they go, "Wow, that's a lot of information, man." Monster or Indeed does my claims, my applications. I don't know who they're sending them to. Give us as much information as you possibly can. All right? That's all we're asking for. First of all, what are the chances that you're going to get audited that particular week? Slim to none, probably. If you do, just give us 5, just whatever, as much of that information as possible. Now, if it was me, I'd want to give them as much information as possible because, exactly, the more information I give them, the quicker the audit's going to be. They're going to close it immediately. That'll be the end of it. If I try to be coy with that information, it could be a red flag. Goes to an auditor. One of our auditors will and these people have seen everything. So I mean, yeah, it could be kind of touchy there, but I think you'll be okay. If the company, if you filed or had an interview with a, which leads me to another thing. What are the things that are acceptable as job searches? Because a lot of people don't know this, right? Applications, right? Verifiability is the key thing here. So applications, if you give a company your resume for an existing job interviews, right? Visiting a workforce solutions office, you sign in, that's a job search. You're there, you take one of their seminars on interviewing or financial, that's an additional job search. Okay? You talk to a counselor about maybe how your set of job skills might transition into an existing job in this community. Yet another job search. My understanding is that this meeting is a job search.
So what about networking events and talking to outplacement coaches?
Your Work in Texas account, which you have to do, when you start it, that's a job search. Anytime you amend it, tweak it, that's another job search. Yes.
So, when I was
When I was receiving my unemployment, I was applying for lots of jobs and filling out the forms and everything, but I never got any response from the people that I had actually applied to. So is there any way of being able to provide proof or, you know, I mean, I've got my resume and I've got all the logs, but
Look, the way it works nowadays is you send an application or a resume to a company, what's the first thing they're going to do? Normally. They're going to send you an email back. Hey, thanks for your, you're not at all? Then you can't, then you don't have that. But what I would do if I was in the situation is I would make a copy of the application or the resume that I sent, and I'd write on there the date that I did it, whom I sent it to, or the department that I sent it to. I would even put the time. And the reason for that, yes, screenshots too, if you're on a company website, and put all that information down. If you put that much information in there, the auditor's going to see that you're meticulous, and they're not going to mess with you. Because they're going to mess with that person that has more excuses than they have answers to questions that they have to pose for them. Yes?
my question is along the job search line too.
When you're on unemployment, you have to submit 5 job.
It varies,
5
actually,
searches.
from county to county, but yes.
Yeah, okay. Well, I have to submit 5 searches. So anyway, I'm a pharmacist. My education, experience, et cetera, is pigeonholed, and I have a finite number of places I can apply. I can't go to every Walgreens or every CVS. I just go to the one site on the computer. That's it. So one week I submitted 3 work searches, and of course I immediately got a call from Workforce Commission about it, and I explained to them.
Did they audit you that many times?
No, they called me because when I made my claim, I only submitted 3 searches.
Oh, 3, okay, I guess.
Yeah.
But this meeting also counts as well.
Well, they told me about the job club. But anyway, so, my question is, I have a finite number of places to look. And even some of the places that I look and apply, if I don't get the job, which I haven't gotten one, but if I don't get the job, then they make me wait another month or so before I can apply for another position. I'm applying for positions that I don't qualify for. I applied for a legal secretary position just so that I can say that I made my 5 searches. And I got the nicest rejection letter that I ever got in my entire life from a law firm. But anyway, so that's a dilemma for me and for the other lady that's a pharmacist here too as well.
It shouldn't be a dilemma.
Any suggestions?
Because, here's the suggestions. You make applications where you want to work, don't make applications to places you don't want to work. There are other ways to get those job searches in. Visit a workforce solutions office. 1, for just showing up to the building. 2, for taking a class there. 3, for talking to a counselor. I mean, there are other ways. We don't want you applying at places you don't want to work at. That's not the situation. Okay, you are just. No, I'm just kidding.
But networking events. So we attend networking events to make network contacts, or we call somebody to network with them about stuff at their company. Does that?
Just remember what I said. Verifiability is the key. Okay. If it can be verified, you can use it. I get this a lot. Hey, John, I was driving by Dell and I went in and asked the receptionist if they were taking applications. And she said, no, can I use it as a job search? Well, if you think she's going to remember you. I mean, she only sees 300 or 400 people a day, Sure.
So your Eventbrite tickets to those events would work as part of it?
If verifiability is the key there. If you can verify it, if that would be easily verified, then I would use it. Otherwise, I wouldn't. Yes.
I was just wondering how working on W-9 affects probably, or how that affects unemployment.
I don't understand. Can you mean more?
Working on W-9?
No, I don't.
1099s.
1099? Was that what you're talking about? Yeah, well, most 1099s are not reported as income. They're usually given like, you're like a contractor job. So we don't normally take that into consideration because that company is probably not paying an unemployment tax for you, okay? So that might be a problem.
Okay, but if you had previous employment, it would still go back to that thing.
Yeah, if it's within the time period that we're looking at. Yeah, and if you're not sure and you want to know, give me a call and I can look at, and you give me your social, I can tell you exactly what you qualify for in any moment. Yes?
Yeah, and the reason I'm going to ask this question is because I resonate with what somebody else said.
Okay.
I had an interview this week. It's like the best interview I've ever had in my life for the best job I probably would ever have had in my life, right? And I am not going to put that on that sheet for somebody to call. I mean, it will explode at the level that many of the people work at here. So my question is, I have 2,000 contacts on LinkedIn. And what I've been doing, part of my job search, just a part of it, I go down through and look for hiring managers or people who are related to positions of authority. And it's not an invitation, I'm already connected to them. I'll send them a message that's very detailed about, I'm looking for this kind of work. Do you know of anybody that you can refer your jobs you can refer me to? Okay, so I know exactly who I sent it to, the exact message, I can go back and capture it. Is that a job search?
I don't know, man. I'll have to ask about that.
Okay, well, because I'm actually sending an email and inquiring. It's like, it's a networking thing.
Well, here, let me give you an example. If I give a company a resume for any job, that's not really a job search either. It has to be for a job that's open.
Go to a networking event.
Yeah.
Let's say tonight I go to a networking event. That's a job search.
That would be a job search.
Well, that's what that was. That's when I send this LinkedIn thing. I'm networking to a guy.
But the difference is that one there is verifiable as an event. Yours is more like an email from one person to another.
Yeah, but if most of the jobs aren't posted,
Use
how
it
do you know?
if you want.
Yeah.
Use it if you want.
Okay, but I'm just asking.
I just told you I don't know the answer. I'll try to get the answer for you.
Super, thank you.
That's all I can do. Yeah.
So I have a question regarding, you want to get into unemployment and you are actually trying to work on your own business. How does that work?
If you're starting your own business, which a lot of people want to do nowadays, it just depends. If you're paying yourself a salary, you got to report that salary. If the money's being put back into growing the business, so in the stock and stuff, then there's nothing to report if you're not actually taking any earnings for yourself. Okay? Yes.
Actually, when I go to LinkedIn, he's communicating with people through there, and he has a message chain through there, and it usually keeps those message chains. Can you use that as ability for verifiable?
I'm going to get back to y'all on that because, yeah. Oh, I know that. I'm on LinkedIn too, so but I just don't know if that's a job search. I mean, I'll see. I'll make the argument. Well, let's see what they say. Yes.
I have this opportunity. If you're able to get like temporary contract work, where like say it's 2 or 3 days a month, how would that affect? I mean, obviously that's not full.
That's considered like a part-time job or a temporary job, and you just got to tell us how much you earned during that when you earned it. The only problem that I foresee in situations like that, where you're getting like a contract work or temporary contract work, is that you're going to be reporting income, right? And then at some point you're not, and then at that point that's when the red flag comes up. Okay, this person was reporting income, that means she was working, and now she's not reporting income, which could possibly mean she's not working anymore. We need to investigate to make sure what the situation is. What are the parameters? Why is she not reporting any income? That's what we do. I mean, that's our job. We don't have anything to do with the rules. The Texas Workforce Commission, that's the agency that I work for. We don't have anything to do with the rules. No one asks us if this is a good rule or not. We are just handed the rules, and they basically just tell us, hey, just make sure that everybody does that, okay? And that's all we do. All right. So yeah, we'd have to investigate something like that. But as long as you tell us that and the company's willing to verify that, not a problem at all. Yes?
Just an aside for that, that's what I was talking about. Instantaneously triggers a hold on your benefit because you made it look like you've been hired. So if you're saying, but the self-employment, you say like, I did this job, and then it makes them want to check to see, oh, is that your new job? Are you well?
We see that a lot with like veterans that only work 1 weekend a month, the National Guard kind of deal, and they get put on hold every month when they go because that's just the situation. Yes.
So fast
All right.
She's good to have
Once
somebody's
you
number there that can help.
potentially get, once you potentially get a job,
Uh-huh.
you've secured, I mean, and you know your start date, when do you determine, when should you call?
That's actually a good question. So let's say I get a job offer and they tell me, hey, I need you to start. This is after the background check, after the drug testing. Hey, I need you to start, but I won't need you for a couple of months. Let's just say, I'm just crazy example, right? You send me proof of that, and I will waive the job search. You won't have to do any job searches, all right? So if you've got a start date, a firm start date in the future, maybe 1 week, 2 weeks, month, whatever, you send me a letter, an email, or something to that effect, and I will waive the job search requirement for you. Okay? Yes, ma'am.
You?
Yeah, you.
No, you, sorry, you personally or the person you're working with?
I'll get somebody to do it. Yes.
So say you want, in your job search, you find out you need some more education or training, take a class or whatever. One of the questions they ask you when you are doing your job search is, have you taken any training or gone to school? How does that affect it? What does that matter?
The only thing is that if you tell, like during your works, when you're requesting payment,
yes.
if it asks you, yeah, the only thing we're trying to figure out there, if you're going to school, the next question is going to be, is that going to keep you from looking for work? That's where that's leading to. Now you will never see that other question if you say no, I'm not going to school. But also remember that if like you're in IT or in some sort of job that you might, a certification would make a difference for you, you're the ideal person that we would want to invest our money in to send you to school to get that certification, because that's going to make you more employable. And you know, some of these things are $1,000, $2,000, and when you're on unemployment, you may not have that kind of money. Hey, the Texas Workforce Solutions may be willing to pay that for you. And so just go down there and check that out. WIOA program, they have a seminar, and then, by the way, that counts as a job search. 2, if you count the fact that you're showing up to the building, and the second one would be for attending that meeting. That's 2 job searches you'll get out of it, and then you may find out that you may qualify for them to pay you that money.
Is IOA the same as the old WIA?
It is exactly a little more expanded.
And will they still not offer you training if you have an advanced degree like PhD?
Well, it depends. You may have an advanced degree, but I need a certification because I'm in IT and I need a yearly or annual certification to make me more employable. You still need that schooling, and so we maybe probably, yeah, that's changed a little bit. Yeah, and by the way, one of the speakers earlier was talking about if you're on WIOA program or they're sending you to school, that you continue to get unemployment. That's not technically correct. You get unemployment till it runs out, then it becomes TRA. So the TAA program, which is the trade affected stuff, becomes only with the trade affected stuff. Well, does that becomes TRA, which is the same amount as unemployment, but it's called TRA, and it's not unemployment at that point.
And what is TRA?
TRA is just it's trade.
Trade readjustment.
Something like that. It's basically the same amount of money while you're going to school. Yes.
Is WIOA covering cybersecurity certifications right now?
I believe so. Yeah.
So
I'm not positive, but you may want to check that on their website. But that is like the big booming business right now. The big thing. Yes.
It used to be that there was a little known law that if you lost your job because of an illness, you weren't, you left because of an illness. But there was, you could go back even a year, 2 years back because of that illness, and you could draw unemployment. I don't remember what that.
Okay, so a couple of things there. Yeah, I think you're talking about an alternate base period.
Yes.
Okay, an alternate base period is like you file for unemployment. We go back and let's say we look at all of 2018, and there's only 2 quarters worth of money in there because a couple of those quarters you were out because you had surgery or you were sick or whatever. So we have the capacity to go from the date that the doctor pulled you out of service and go back the 4 quarters from that point. And it may help you, it may not, okay? But it is something that you can ask for, yeah. Another thing is this, let's say you got a job and then you get fired because you got sick. Okay, company has to do, they need you there every day, and you can't be there because you're struggling with an illness or whatever, and so they fire you. All right, so until you get well, we can't give you unemployment, but once you get well, we'll be able to give you unemployment because they fired you because of the illness, because they needed somebody there and you're not there and they didn't keep your job for you. So you may qualify for unemployment after that. So that's something also to keep, as long as the doctor's willing to say that you're able to work, you'll be fine.